This area of tools, iPad app setup. Okay, so you can enable the system to have an iPad Touch ID if you want, just to save having to use your username and password quite so much. Extra settings. So on the iPad home screen, if you review the video on the iPad, there is a video about extras. So extra settings is basically where you put in the description of the website that you want to give access to on the iPad, and also the URL. So it's very simple. You just pop the description into here, copy and paste the URL into here, and then save it, and then it will add it to this list, but also add it onto everyone's iPad in the business. So you can see the sorts of ones I use in my test site are Motability pricing, accessories pages, auto trader. So very useful websites for day-to-day use in the dealership. Presentations is next, which is where you would, if you have any videos that do a presentation on your insurance products that you offer to your customers, then you would choose the type of product. So let's go with paint protection, and it's by a URL, and then I would maybe paste a video about SuperGuard, Life Shine, etc. into there, and then save it. So once they're in there, when I then present the figures off the iPad, I'll have some video links that I can actually present to the customer while I'm going through the presentation of the figures, just so if a customer wants a description on Gap or Paint and Fabric or Tire and Alloy, etc., there's a link there without the exec having to give their own interpretation of what it does, and also it will give you a consistent approach to every customer. Qualification pages on and off. So if you don't want the qualification pages to be switched on the iPad, then you can disable them and go straight into the vehicle of interest drop-down boxes without asking change cycle and annual mileage, etc. like that. Partex vehicle questions. So the page before you get to the car splat, we would recommend that you add in questions that are relevant to the products that you supply or offer as part of the purchase of a new vehicle. So things like does your current vehicle have a valid paint protection certificate? Well, that's just us a hook regarding paint and fabric protection that you provide. So hopefully the customer will go, I don't know what that is. Can you please explain more? Then the execs can say, well, yes, we do this product, or when we get inside, I'll ask my business manager to go through it with you, whatever your process is. But they're great to just start hooking in about the products that you offer. And then qualifying questions. So here I've changed my wording from qualifying questions to funding particulars. You might want to call it about you. Just you can change the title. The questions that I would recommend you put into here would be questions that are relevant to what a mystery shopper would want you to ask them. If you're a branded retailer, if you're a used car independent, then just whatever you decide you'd like to put in there, more around maybe funding, like how did you fund your last car, how do you expect to fund your next car, what's your expected monthly budget, who else will drive the car, what you're hoping to achieve on your visit today, all that kind of stuff. So you put whatever questions you wish in here, and then obviously every time you go through the iPad, as long as you have the questions switched on using the qualification pages on off, then it will force the user to go through that process and make it easier for you to audit whether the execs are actually asking the questions or not. iPad registration is modular, so if you want an extra layer of data protection on your iPads, then we can switch this on for you. Either speak to your account manager or Inquiry Max support. And that means that every iPad will need to be registered before it can be logged into. So if one were ever to be stolen, you can actually deactivate the iPad remotely, so nobody can log into your Inquiry Max system and therefore database.